Hey, Coach. So glad you found the video. Couple things. First of all, make sure you subscribe and like. Second thing, go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. Let me show you how to put a roadmap and become a nationally ranked coach. I've done it for 30 plus years. Let me help you do that over at teachhoops.com. Let's head off to the video.
All right, welcome to the Basketball Leadership Podcast. Summertime. The coach
Summer mode.
Do we look more relaxed? Maybe.
I feel relaxed. I may not look it, but I feel it. Still working on the golf tan though. I got to get there.
Happy 4th of July to everybody, because I know maybe you're driving back from a 4th of July celebration and listen to the podcast, hopefully. Today we're talking about the 4 seasons of commitment, Coach, and what does that entail?
Yeah, this is, I just finished off I don't know, a few weeks ago my new course, Better Coach OS, which is 10 modules to kind of be a better coach. One of the modules is commitment. And so
before you jump into
Yeah.
that, like, how did you do that? Like, this is just me asking you, like, did you just say, I'm going to do this in the next 2 months? How did you dive into that? That intrigues me before we talk
I've been
about
doing
that.
I've been thinking about my next course for months. So I've been all through basketball season. I put the framework together and I basically said, what are things out there to help us be better coaches? And I wanted to be practical and relevant. So I kind of went through and created these modules, and it started out with like, why do you coach? And then organization, communication, culture, leadership, commitment, mindset, motivation, practice planning and strategy, and then the art of coaching. And then I put a couple bonus modules in there, like the head coach interview, the sports parent, and so forth. So I put together this framework of kind of really what coaching is all about. And then what I really did is I started just jotting things down all winter long of what are things that I do or I've seen or talked through you or other people that, fit within that module. And then I kind of pieced this whole thing together. So it's really practical, relevant, tools of the trade that we live each and every day. So
every day we don't even think about it, but
no, you don't. We talk about this stuff all the time, but there's so many people that are not at their stage of the career that we are, and there's so much to be learned. And I'm just sharing what I've learned from others and what I've experienced over my career.
Yep. So it's www.bettercoachesos.com.
Bettercoachos.com.
Coach. Ooh, I said it wrong.
Better Coach OS.
Coach OS. I will put in the link to coaches in summer brain. Bettercoachos.com. And I'll put the link down below so you can get it. All right.
Yeah.
So the 4 seasons.
Yeah. So within commitment, I thought long and hard about commitment, and commitment is seasonal in my mind as a coach. And we're right in the middle of one of those seasons as we speak, which is why I wanted to talk about it right here. And then there's indicators of commitment too, which we may not get to, but I think from a coaching perspective, I'm going to start as we gear up before the season. You always have your preseason, and this is maybe a week or two before the season starts. And that is that time when kids generally are the most committed, right? They're excited. They're looking forward to the season. They don't know exactly what their role is. They might have more hope. They might think they're going to be a starter. There's so many things that go into the preseason. And that's a season that's really important. And then the second season is kind of that mid-season to me. And that's once roles have been established and people kind of know where they fit and you're in the grind of the season. Another really important point. And then we've got the postseason, and that's that week or two right before your postseason tournament where I think you really need to redefine where roles are at and have that conversation with your team and players. And then you've got the off season, and that's where really true commitment surfaces. Obviously kids can be incredibly committed in season for us, but in the off season, they may be a baseball player. They might be a football player. They don't put same time in that others do in the off season. And so I think commitment is seasonal. And it's very normal for kids to go up and down at these different stages. And I think it's really important for us as coaches to communicate and talk with them about each stage, where they're at, where their commitment level is. And obviously, the more committed kids we have in more seasons, the better. What I've done in this Better Coach OS is I've created a tool where coaches can have kids, or they can evaluate, self-reflect on kids, their commitment level during that stage of the season. And you can kind of visually see where kids are at. And then you can use that to goal set with your kids to kind of grow that commitment level. So, not going to go super in depth with that, but it's one of the tools that I created for this course. But what are your thoughts on those 4 seasons of commitment, Steve? And what comes to mind?
No, I think you're right. It's like yeah, it's basically like 4 seasons. I say it's like 4 seasons of the year too. It's like there's preseason, but yeah.
Yeah.
But the issue with that is it's easy to have commitment too. I always talk about, the hard commitment is probably July. The hard commitment is not. I had a meeting with my guys before school ended, and it's like it's easy to have commitment after you lose your last game, and
Yeah.
easy to have commitment, but it's a lot harder, and championships are won in that, that window of that off season. Even preseason, even fall is easier, I think, for
Yep.
especially the ones that aren't playing fall sports. um but it's like the great teams that I've coached, they play other sports, but the
Yep.
commitment is there nonstop.
Yep.
um
At least with your core, I
yes,
mean,
yes,
it's hard to expect everyone on your team to have this same commitment level, but
right,
your
right,
core guys, and without question, you know, the more committed you are in the off season, the more kids you have playing AAU, the more kids you have in the gym, more kids in the weight room and speed camp and all of that, the more competitive and more successful you're probably going to be. I mean, there's a direct correlation with that. I think the one that, when you really think of the group, the tweeners, the kids who maybe don't know where their role is, that mid-season commitment and that postseason, they can really hurt your team
right.
if they're not committed, if they're not bought in, if their role is different when they thought what they thought it may be. In the summer, I don't know about you, I'm sure you're the same way, but I play all of our kids a lot of minutes in the summer. They all play. You know what I
Right.
mean? It may not be equal, but they're all playing every game. And then the fall comes along, the preseason, they're jacked up, they're ready to go. It's really, once roles are defined, to me, it's another layer of commitment that is hard for a coach.
Yeah,
It's important.
and to be honest with you, summer play is not going to make you
Oh,
that much better. Like
no.
the growth that you're going to get in summer play is 2% to 10%, maybe.
Yeah.
Uh, it used to bother me a long time ago. It used to bother me. It doesn't, like, whatever. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
anymore. That's more about skill and individual work and some conceptual stuff. And, but you're right. I think that those mid-season role things are huge as far as, because everyone comes in and at least on my team, everyone thinks they're playing and a lot and starting.
Yeah.
And it's like, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter where they sat last year, which
No.
is good because it's competitive. But then all of a sudden, you know, people got to fit inside the box kind of thing, and it's hard.
And
Those can be the which road you're going to go down. I think it matters.
And this is, I think, we've talked about this a little bit, but where communication is so important with a coach, and we talk about role definition and how critical that is, because I think I've said this before, but where there's a void in communication, negativity fills it. And so
Yep.
if we don't have these conversations, we lose the commitment level of kids. And if we lose that commitment level in season, I don't care how good your team is, if a third of your bench is not bought in, it's going to rub off on others. It's going to hurt your team. You're not going to achieve what you want.
Right.
And you got to keep those conversations going. And, just the 4 indicators of commitment within that. So we have the seasons, but I think defining commitment, and I mean, this is a whole nother podcast, but I'll just lay the foundation right now. But number one is showing up. I mean, step one of commitment, you got to be there, right?
Right.
Number two is your effort and best effort. I mean, so you got to show up and you got to work hard.
Right.
I think number three is this concept of self-improvement. You can show up and work hard, but if you're not trying to get better, if you're not accepting coaching, if you're not taking coaching or using that workout to improve and get better, that's a whole nother layer of commitment. And then to me, the last one is a commitment to the team and a team first mindset. Like, you can show up, you can give your best effort, you can be committed to improving yourself as an individual. But if you're not bought into the team and how you fit into the team, none of that matters.
I know.
And I think those are the four key indicators that go along with that.
That's what we call a tease. We'll do a podcast about that at some point in August. All right.
Sounds
Thanks,
good.
Coach.
Thanks.
Hey, Coach, so glad you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed it a lot. Actually, if you did, subscribe and like, and then go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better.